All right, let's jump into our next set of ear tests. We're about to go through 20 ear tests in the major pentascale environment, starting on C, B flat, B, A, and D. Lots of different keys to be working with, so we're not stuck on one do. That all being said, as we're going through, make sure that you feel free to pause as needed. I'm going to be going through these at a pace that makes sense to collect this class as something cohesive, but I'm not going to know how long I need to pause for on each example for each individual student. So you get to determine that. Make sure you hit the pause button as needed, and then get your answer once you feel ready. Last thing is, I would say, please feel free to sing through the examples. Making the connection between singing and hearing it is super important for you to instill these fundamentals that much deeper. Let's jump in. Also keep in mind, I can now start you on the root, the third, or the fifth. So as we've been going through the intervals as well, I want you to keep in mind that do to so, this perfect fifth, is also now an option within these ear tests. So we're going to start simple and progress as we go. Here's your first do. And here's your first note. No surprises, we're starting on do. It's going to sound like this. One more time. You got it? We're just working up do, re, mi, fa, so. Nothing too fancy. Here's your next do. Here's your first note. Starting on mi. It's going to sound like this. One more time. Answer is mi, fa, so, do. Here's your next do. Here's your first note. Do you hear where we're starting? Do, so. We're up on so to start. It's going to sound like this. One more time. Answer is so, fa, mi, re, do. Working down through our solfege. Here's your next do. Starting on. Do you hear it? There it is again. We're starting up on so. It's going to sound like this. One more time. Answer is so, fa, mi, fa, so. Here's your next do. Here's your first note. Here's the example. One more time. Answer is mi, fa, so, do, re, mi. If I just finished on the do, you can hear the resolution. Just sounds finished. But then we work our way up to this sort of bright mi, a very happy sounding finish. So mi, fa, so, do, re, mi. There's our first 5 down the hatch, over to the next 5. Here's your next do, and here's your first note. Starting on mi. It's going to sound like this. One more time. Answer is mi, re, mi, do, so. Here's your next do. Starting on. It's going to be do this time. It's going to sound like this. One more time. Answer is do, re, mi, so, mi. Here's your next do. Here's your first note. Starting on mi. It's going to sound like this. Bit of a longer example. Answer is mi, fa, so, do, re, mi. Here's your next do. Starting on so. It's going to sound like this. One more time. Answer is so, mi, do, mi, so. only chord tones. So, mi, do, mi, so, working through skips. Here's your next do. Here's your first note. Starting on so. It's going to sound like this. One more time, a bit slower. Answer is so, mi, do, re, mi, do. Some skips, some steps, different directions, a little bit of everything. For these next 10 examples, I'm going to be finishing on unresolved sounds as opposed to always finishing on resolved sounds. So I could finish on re, I can also finish on fa, but I'm still going to be starting on the do, mi, or so. Let's get to the next example. Here's your do, here's your first note. Starting on so. It's going to sound like this. One more time. Answer is so, fa, mi, then backpedaling, fa, mi, re, do. Fun fact, that's actually a sequence or a mini sequence where we have 3 notes moving down, then moving down a bit more. We can keep it going. Okay, so a sequence would just be a small pattern that shifts up slightly over time or down slightly over time. Next example, here's your do. Here's your first note. Starting on so. Here it is. One more time. Sounds a bit unresolved. What's your guess? The answer is so, mi, do, re. If you guessed so, fa, mi, don't worry, you'll be able to hear steps versus skips more over time, but again, that's why repetition in taking these classes and restudying them over and over is super important for you to be able to hear those minute differences. Here's your next do. Here's your first note. Starting on mi. It's going to sound like this. One more time, a bit slower. Answer is mi, fa, so, do, re. Next do sounds like, and here's your first note. So we're starting on do. It's going to sound like this. One more time. Answer is do, re, mi, fa, mi, re. That unresolved sound again. Here's your next do, and here's your first note. Starting on so. It's going to sound like this. Ooh, super unresolved. One more time. So I gave you a bit of a hint there. What are you hearing? The answer is so, fa, mi, re, mi, fa. To me, fa feels in a major environment more unresolved than re. The main reason fa is going to sound more unresolved rather than re is because fa is one semitone away from mi. Let me play for you. Here's your chord, and here's fa. So if I play the mi of the chord and the fa together, it's pretty bad. But if I play re with that mi, it's not so bad because of the relationship between mi and re being one tone. So watch out for fa in a major environment. If you finish on it, it could sound particularly nasty depending on what chord you're playing. Let's go into your last 5 examples. This time I'm going to play a chord in my left hand followed by do, followed by your first note. We want to start to be able to hear the relationship between where our melody is starting and a chord, so we're going to introduce that at this point. So here's your chord. Now before I play do, try to find it. So after I play the chord, you can feel free to pause, do, try to find that do, unpause and see if you're right. Here's your do. In that case, you would have been correct. So here's do, here's your first note. Where are we starting? Mi. It's going to sound like this. One more time. We have mi, fa, mi, do, re. Next example, B flat is our do. Here's your do. Here's your first note. Starting on so. It's going to sound like this. This one's more tough. It's more leapy. Listen again. We have so, mi, do, fa, mi. What I'm hearing is a chord descending followed by the classic amen sort of finish to a church hymn. So we have so, mi, do, fa, mi for that one. Again, much more leapy than some of the other ones, but the whole point is to challenge you a bit more as we go. Here's your next do. Here's your chord. Here's your do. And here's your first note. Starting on, in this case, do. It's going to sound like this. One more time. This one's a bit easier. We have do, re, mi, so, fa, mi. Here's your next chord. Here's your next do. And here's your starting note. Starting on mi. It's going to sound like this. Pausing on that third note to help you a bit. Here it is again. Answer is mi, so, re, fa, mi. What I want to hear is mi, so, re, do, but mi, so, re, and then there's an extension, fa, mi, so we're resolving up to the mi instead of down to do. Here's your last example. Here's your chord. Here's your do. And here's your first note. Starting on do, it's going to sound like this. One more time. Answer is do, so, do, mi, re, do. A bit leapy off the start with our do, so, do being that perfect fifth up and down, but then a really classic mi, re, do sort of finish. I hope that was fun. I hope it was challenging. Feel free to go back through this class as many times as you need to feel more confident before you move on to the next level. I'll see you at the next class.